Thrones fans, if this is working correctly, you are now tuned in to another chapter pack review. This time I'm joined by not only Joe from Cincy, but we've got a French guy right under me in the corner who you've seen before from a previous video, my buddy Dan. So quick intro, Dan, before we get started on what we're about to do.
Bonsoir, bonsoir. Quick intro from the French guy.
No one knows what that means.
I know I don't.
Good evening. It's bonsoir, I guess.
All right.
So, what you want me to say? I'm a guy who plays Thrones.
And he knows what he's talking about. Plus, he not only does he like Greyjoy, he also likes the Dirty Night's Watch. So he's on both of our sides when it comes to Joe and I discussing which cards suck and why certain cards shouldn't have come out for Night's Watch yet again. But that remains to be seen.
Shamar.
You have no sight.
I'm only concerned with protecting the realm.
Fair enough. So we are going to be breaking down a Game of Thrones All Men Are Fools, the latest chapter pack that just came out this week, yesterday. Some of you were fortunate enough to get your packs. I'm still waiting on mine currently. But we are very lucky, as he fans his cards and shows them, we are very lucky that these packs show up on Thrones DB and Card Game DB so that everyone can get a look at them before we get them. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Is that a French word?
Is it?
No,
really.
it is not.
No.
It sounds close, but it's not.
Sounds French. I was like, oh, what a wonderful tie-in.
So card number one, we'll start with myself, and then Joe, you'll be next, and then Dan. Fair enough.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right, so card number one is Hoster Tully. Start card, 2 cost, just a power icon and 1 strength. The House Tully and Lord. While Hoster Tully is participating in a challenge, each other participating House Tully character you control gains renown. And he's also not loyal.
He ain't loyal? Well, okay, so I guess I'll start. We'll just go around the circle, I guess. I guess that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
My first impression of him is that he's very win more. Because, you know, first of all, you have him, and he only has a power icon, and then the Blackfish, Catelyn, and then a couple other ones. So unless you're already running the Tully all-in rush strategy, I can't imagine this card making your deck. Like, it's not really a useful 1x or 2x in a typical deck, so it's really only in the Tully rush deck.
Mm-hmm.
And then even in that, this guy's not going to last, right? I mean, Valar, you're not going to bodyguard him. You're not going to do all that much to protect him. If you can get a dupe on him, that's great. But I don't know how long he lasts, and I don't know how long the power that he gives out lasts, except for the ones that they're on the Blackfish and everything like that. And the Blackfish already has renown, so I'm not sure how I feel about this guy.
Dan?
I'm the next one in the circle. Actually, you want a French expression? I'll go ni chaud ni froid, which is basically neither hot nor cold.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily agree that. I don't necessarily agree that. I don't know, there's something about that laugh. That he's a win more because basically he's a rush card, right? So I mean, in another sense, all rush decks are win more, but that's their win condition. So one of in rush decks. Yeah, he's fine. I mean, he's giving renown to a bunch of characters that don't have it. I was playing around with whether the River Run Minstrel, I think, or the 4-cost 2-icon character.
Yep.
That when you put him in, they gain a power.
Yep.
Well, what does that character do after it's actually been marshaled once? Well, now it finally gets renown, and he dies to Valar or whatever, and it was 1 turn of power.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And then so does the guy that had renown the 1 turn. They died of Valar
true
too.
if it happens, but if it doesn't, well, you just rush that much more towards your victory. So, like I say, neither hot nor cold, ni chaud ni froid.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, again, as Joe said, I kind of agree on the win more, but I think that it is a card that could be useful having even just the 1 copy of it in. Because we know that the Tumblestone Knight is House Tully traded, I believe.
Yes,
so it would be nice to see the Tumblestone Knights, if you were somehow able to get more than 1 out on the board, have them benefit from this and kind of not. I guess it's not important to say that it would push you to the win, but the fact that you could have in a perfect world a couple of Tumblestone Knights out and Hoster Tully, and you force your opponent to blow their Valar early on that alone which likely wouldn't happen, but it could. Then in that case, it'd be useful. I just don't think that it's a card that's like a must have, or one that's going to really see much play.
I will say that when combined with another card that's coming out in this chapter pack, Marjorie Tyrell, he's fantastic because he's a 2-cost lord, and then you just murder his ass and get a better lord. So Tyrell and Stark already have a pretty good synergy because there's lots of lords and ladies and a couple of knights in there, so they already have kind of their own little synergy going, and Hospitali is just another cheap lord that you can murder and have Marge find someone new. So while his actual text is win more, in my opinion, the fact that he's the cheap lord is always nice.
Fair enough. On to the next card.
Yeah.
The Tumblestone, Joe.
Yeah. So the Tumblestone is a 0-cost location, non-loyal, Stark. Trait, the Riverlands. Keyword, Bestow, which is a brand new keyword. Bestow 3. And Bestow is, when this card enters play, move up to 3 gold from your gold pool to this card. And then a reaction, after a House Tully character gains power, discard 1 gold from the Tumblestone to stand that character. Dan.
I have a question for you guys, as I'm not much of a rules lawyer. How does that work into Edmure? Because I think Edmure moves power. Does in this gains, is there like some weird? Does that work or not?
What do you mean?
Like, yeah, what's the comment?
Well, okay, so Edmure, basically, whenever a character gains or triggers renown, you can stop that character from getting renown, and you move it on. You move the power onto one of your House Tully characters. Does this actually trigger off Edmure?
Yeah, because Edmure just once it gains power, right?
Yeah.
So you can
once it gains power. So once Edmure moves power onto somebody, you can stand that person that he moved power onto.
Okay, so this does work with it. Okay, so see, I guess that my review of this card, that was my main question, not having read this card, is that much better?
Well, what Edmure says exactly is, after a character gains power, move 1 power from that character to a House Tully character.
That's why. So, see, I remembered that the trigger was a move, and having played many games, moving power from one card to the other is not the same as gaining or applying things. So that's why I was asking you guys.
All right,
I guess the rules lawyers, right? So,
you guys keep talking. I'll pull up the RG and see if there's a text on the word gain.
I'm not helping anybody out right now.
This is the world that we live in.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, I love this game. Well, so if we're going to talk about this card, Bestow to me is a new keyword that's actually very interesting. That'll add a lot of flexibility to certain cards. I don't know that this card does it for me as much. I am seeing Edmure played at least as a one-of in most Dark decks that I'm facing recently, so I'm kind of wondering, because that's actually kind of helping the Tumblestone for my review. But to me, it's an okay card. I guess if you're going Rush.
For me, the Tumblestone, I like the fact that it's 0. But again, with this whole Bestow idea, the fact that you can only do this 3 times, and I mean, in a game, how many times would you actually be able to pop it off? But that being said, if for some reason or whatever way you were able to or wanted to be able to do this more than 3 times, there's no real way for you to reset the Tumblestone yourself, because it's not like other games where you can play a location to get rid of another location. Once that 3 gold that you bestowed upon the Tumblestone is gone, there's no way to get any gold back onto it that we know of yet. So I'm sure in the future there will be a way to do that. But as for now, just that fact alone, I think, is a deterrent to playing this card.
Okay, so I was almost certain there was not going to be anything in the rules reference about this, but there is. Moving power, page 13 of the RRG. Some effects, such as power claim, allow players to move power from one card to another. Power that is moved is not considered gained.
Okay.
So it does not work with Tumblestone.
And my next question,
oddly enough,
as we're reading this and we're talking about it, I was going to ask you guys a question. Would you actually pay 3 to go to max out the Bestow on it or not?
Nope.
I would probably put 1 gold on it.
That's what I was wondering, right? 1, maybe 2, depending on your turn?
Yeah. You don't want to spend 3 gold on it, because maybe if it's an all-out Tully deck, but I don't know. I think I'd use it as a one-off ability because committing 3 gold to location is tough as it is, but especially on a card like this that can be discarded by, newly made lord pretty easily and things like that. I just don't think that I'd put all 3 power on it. But I don't play Tully Rush, so maybe I'm not the authority on that.
I'm sure somebody out there will comment, but I totally agree with Joe on that one. Like I said, it comes in for 0, and that's nice, but really you're going to want to put money on it anyways. And really, do you want to spend your money on that versus a character? And the fact that you really need to have House Tully characters out and doing things kind of messes this one up too. And I think that, and it's just so limited in terms of when you can actually play it, right? So I think that alone just takes away from the utility.
And here's my thinking. 1 to 2 gold is fine, but if you are consistently putting 3 gold on this, just run Seal the Hand.
Yeah.
Obviously that's you get a little more flexibility in targeting with this. I mean, you get to choose which character to target, but most of the time you have Blackfish. Oh, I gain a power with Blackfish, stand Blackfish. You can do that with Seal the Hand, and it's not discarding gold or anything like that. So I don't know. No. That's just my opinion, but I think if I were running this and I was actually using it for the 3 gold every time, I would just run Seal the Hand instead.
That's fair. Next card.
Yeah.
This one
I'm actually happy we're talking a lot about this new keyword. The discussion's flowing, so there you go.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So next card is Marjorie, the new one, and that's on you, Dan.
Yeah, I get like the most awesomest card of the pack. So we have Marjorie Tyrell. She is a loyal Tyrell character. 6 cost, intrigue and power icon, 5 strength. She is traded Lady and Queen, has renown, and a reaction that reads, after a unique king or lord character you control is killed, search your deck for a unique king or lord character and put it into play. Shuffle your deck. Limits once per round.
Is that me that's supposed to start? Yeah, I think it's me. First of all,
system, Shamar.
First of all, I want to talk about the art. So I think the art on this card is really cool, but the one thing that bothers me is that little kid in the bottom right that just looks like he shouldn't be there. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something about that pisses me off.
Did you guys ever play Mortal Kombat when you were growing up?
Yes.
And every time, I forget exactly when it happened, but every once in a while, like when Scorpion used an ability that it shot fire or something like that, a little head would pop out of the corner and go like, Toasty! Yeah. That is what that guy reminds me of. It's like when I first saw somebody posted a picture of it, I thought that was photoshopped in there.
Yeah.
Because it just looked so absurd. So a little head just popped out of the fucking right corner of this picture. I thought like when JC Wemma and all them first spoiled it, I was like, oh, they photoshopped a little head into the corner. Thought we wouldn't notice.
No, he's there.
I don't know. It stood out so awkwardly to me, and the way that he's just in the foreground like that, it just looks weird. But anyways, so back to the actual card and what it does. I think that this card is really cool. The ability on it is obviously really cool, and we talked about how now you can pack in little crappy lords into your deck that you don't really care if they die, or you can choose them for claim because you're just going to throw in like a Renly or something like that. And I think that is awesome. I'm just really curious for you guys when you go through and say how good you think this card is. I'm just curious to know if you don't see that still being kind of a detriment to your deck, where you're actively searching for this cheap lord to just toss him out and kill him right away, knowing that potentially you're playing against a Lannister player, because Lannister is still very popular, and all they've got to do is just treachery that. So all I want to know is how you guys feel about that. I would still think that this card is playable, but I just find the 3-cost Marjorie for me is still probably what I would move towards.
So listen, if we talked about every card in the context of treachery, every card would
I know that. But I'm just saying there are ways to, like even the Nightmares, for example. Like there's so many ways to shut this down. I'm just wondering.
But in
your opinion, do you guys think that it's worth it to be chucking in all these little tiny lords and stuff that you're gonna try to choose as claim to throw in the big guy? The one time it works, or the couple times it works, yes, it's gonna be a huge swing. but I'm just wondering if it's worth it to build your whole deck around that.
I don't know if it's worth building your entire deck around it. I definitely like the idea of, like, for example, one thing I was thinking of was like Tyrell, Banner of the Lion, with Core Joffrey. If you kill a lord, like in Valar, say there's a Valar, and a bunch of lords die, like 2 or 3 lords die, you can actually bring in Joffrey, and then gain 3 power off of Joffrey's reaction, and then you could possibly win the game in the plot phase. Things like that I think are interesting. I don't know if the biggest concern is getting rid of the 3-cost Marjorie, because she's just so efficient,
right?
For everything that Tyrell decks are doing right now. There's so much about strength buffs and everything like that, and especially Tyrell Reigns, which I hear is all the rage in Europe. That +3 strength on an intrigue challenge, you know, you can threaten to trigger it at any time, and they have to over defend and everything like that. If you don't have core set Marjorie, it's a little less effective. But the effective is definitely powerful, and she's 6 for 5 with Renown.
With Renown, yeah.
So even if you don't trigger her, she's still not a bad character. The biggest problem, obviously, is just getting rid of 3-cost Marjorie.
And I totally agree with that, and how useful she is. But I just think that, you know, switching this to this Marjorie over the core set Marjorie, you just lose a lot of what Tyrell already has going for it, and that is messing with challenge math, and, you know, keeping characters around that people don't want to deal with. And I get that this card just makes, you know, decks with target kill, now trying to get rid of that big annoying lord or king is going to suck, right? Because you don't want to put this guy to the sword and then his big brother's going to come in even better and start smashing you in the mouth. So I get the use of it in that sense, but I just think that I would still rather the cheaper Marjorie and then get those bigger guys out just as easily.
Yeah, and economic advantage is only so good at a certain point, especially in a faction that has the Arbor anyway. But one thing, like, it's great against targeted kill, but it's also great against, you know, just military claim. If you do have a Bran or a Hoster Tully or, you know, anything that's just a low-cost lord, they basically can't do military challenges against you unless they want Fast Eddie to come out, or if they want Randall Tarlo to come out, or something like that. So there's definitely application to it. If her name was not Marjorie Terrell, I think that it would be run every day.
So can I stir some shit here? Are you guys finished patting yourself on the backs and both agreeing that Core Marjorie is better than this actual beautiful, amazing card?
Yeah, I want to hear what you think.
I think you guys are totally missing the point of this card. This reaction, of course, the one time where the reaction wins you the game because you're going to flip out Joffrey and you're going to gain 3 power and all this renown, it's going to get treachery. But there's so many targets for treachery right now, and this is not a reaction that wins you the game. It's an enabler. Tutors are very strong in a 60-card deck with, well, obviously Tyrell has more draw than most, but still, how many times did you actually go through half your deck, except for when you were playing that double counting coppers Night's Watch Fealty deck? I mean, in general, in a game, you see, what, 18 to 26 cards out of your deck?
I hope you see more than that.
Yeah, I would hope so. Shit. But no, I get what you're saying.
I don't know, but what's your average? Seriously, I threw in a number. What's your average?
Because you draw 7 to start playing Greyjoy, you drop like 4. So you draw another 4, so that's 11, and then you start the turn with 2, so that's 13. You said 18.
And then what? Your average is 4 rounds?
I would say you play like another 4 or 5 rounds, so that's easily like 26 cards that you should see.
Okay, so I went way off because I'm a French guy and I exaggerate, but you're not seeing half your deck. She's a tutor, right? And that's what it is. You're not basing your whole strategy on finding that little Tyrell Lord or something like that and sacking him to go get the other guy. You're just putting 3 copies of the guy you want to see, a bunch of small lords, so that way you can go get the 1 guy or 2 guys that you don't have for your win condition in your board state. And then all of a sudden you got a strong body that's got renown, that's got 2 great icons, that doesn't suffer first snow, doesn't suffer ward, doesn't all that stuff. And she enables you to go get those big guys. That's what she does. Your win condition is not necessarily her. She's keeping the stability of your deck
I
Very
totally
different.
get that, but I'm just saying, in some way, shape, or form, you got to change your deck around to facilitate playing her. And then the fact
Yes.
that you're gonna have situations where you only have 2 lures on the board or whatever, and you've got a bit of gold left, and you're gonna go through any way possible to get her out. That way, that you can recycle whichever lord dies, knowing that your opponent is just going to target the shit out of her. And so, rather than play 6 gold to get her out, just so you can recycle a lord, why not spend 3 on a little chud and 2 on a location that's going to help you do some shit, versus going all in on this little ability. It's like Queen of Thorns in my mind. I mean, I get Queen of Thorns isn't a tutor, but still, how many times do you think, oh, Queen of Thorns is gonna be fucking dope, I'm gonna win this challenge and put this guy out, and it never works out?
Yeah, Queen of Thorns sucks.
She's
Yeah.
ass. And I'm not saying that
You're
I'm not
right.
saying
I
that
tried.
Marjorie's ass.
I tried playing Queen of Thorns many times, and I agree with you. She never panned out to be what I was hoping.
And I'm not
But
saying Marjorie's
that
ass, because Marjorie, again, she has the renown and everything. So at least if Queen of Thorns had a renown and she's winning those challenges and she's still getting you power or whatever, and you don't get to trigger, fine. And I guess Marjorie, yeah, she has a renown, so she's gonna do stuff while she's on the board. But
but
that just makes her even more of a target.
but your
Yeah.
Queen of Thorns was not stabilizing your deck. She was pure economy, right? You're putting this card out for free once you got it. She's actually stabilizing your character base. She'll actually help you come back from a Valor. She'll actually help you build your board state because. And let me reread that again, right? Let's make sure we're reading it right.
No, but pause.
Search
She
your
only
deck
helps you
for
come.
king or lord and put it into play.
But
So
she
you're not
only helps
putting
you
it in
come
your
back
hand.
from a Valor if she has a bodyguard, a dupe, or lady in waiting on her.
Yeah, if
So-
she dies, you
And-
can't trigger her.
No, of course, but and it's not like Tyrell wasn't playing Lady in Waiting right now. They are.
They are.
And she facilitates, and Brienne is that much more better now all of a sudden. So that's what I'm saying. Is their character base? That's what I'm liking about where Tyrell is going. Is they're more constructive about building their board and getting to their win condition than destruction, where you're attacking the opponent and stopping the opponent from doing what they want to. Obviously, I mean, you're going to put big bodies on the board and you're going to try to stop their challenges and whatnot, and you get your strength pumps from what's the location? Don't they have a new location that does it? I mean, obviously,
Yeah, Renly's
it's
Pavilion.
Yeah.
Pavilion, which is a 2-strength swing. I'm actually seeing, and I guess this was maybe based out of Europe, but you're right. In Tyrell Reigns, people are playing the event Growing Strong a little bit more now. So you get that strength and that manipulation. And actually, Growing Strong is that much greater. I'm a guy who loves the events. I love the surprises. I love to have something in my hand that's not on the board state that you'll account for. So why not bring that event back and use this body that actually survives? It can't be warded, survives first snow. You can put Lady in Waiting, bodyguard, whatever on her. Anyways, we'll see. I think she's the bomb.
And it's important to note that you can kill a character with a king attachment, and that works too. Like
Yeah.
Right.
so that's nice too. I didn't want to make it sound like I don't think that she's great. I think she's a 5 out of 5 character. Like the best card in the pack, in my opinion. The only thing that's keeping me from saying she's going to be in every Tyrell deck that's ever built is the fact that Court Marjorie is just universally good. There's no building restrictions with Marjorie. You just put her in a deck. So that's my only thing.
No, okay, yeah, I see your point. Agree, but that's also the other thing that we were complaining for a year and a half to 2 years about is people wanted options, right? You always have this awesome card, and then this card is no good because he's got the same name as this one. We finally have 2 Marjories. Both of them are great. Both of them fit different purposes. We don't say it enough, but thumbs up on this one, FFG. Seriously.
Kinda like
the only
Galen
problem
and
is
Galen.
we're gonna see her everywhere now, and with this new agenda, it's gonna make it worse. But I guess I'll complain in 6 months. Right now, I'm happy.
All right.
We'll get to that agenda.
So let's jump to the next card, which is the name of the pack.
Why is this pack called this name again?
All Men Are Fools. So it is a Tyrell loyal event that costs 0, which is always great because you can hand judgment it. Reaction: after you win a challenge by 5 or more strength, each lady character you control gains 1 power, max 1 per challenge. Joe?
So I thought this was a pretty funny card because the reaction on the Facebook group was kind of like, oh, like it was kind of there's 2 teams. one team was like, "Oh, this is amazing! I'm gonna win so many games of this. This makes the Ladies' Knights deck come back in full force." And there's another camp that was like, "Guys, this is a superior claim, and nobody runs superior claim." and I'm kind of in the middle of those right now because it's legitimately strong. You know, if you Tyrell has what 3 or 4 ladies right now, and then you can bring in other ladies. So this could get you a good amount of power. But it just reminds me there's so many rush cards that people reacted to when it first got revealed, and then it ended up not really impacting things all that much. Like that one Baratheon event that like you could pay gold and get power for every standing character you have in Dominance phase. People were like, "This is such a bad design. They're making this game so shitty." And it's like literally not a single person plays that card.
Yeah.
And this card I think is going to be similar. It's still win by 5. Win by 5 is not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it.
Well, for Tyrell it is. You just told me that Corset Marjorie is everywhere.
Well, Corset Marjorie is key to getting it to work because otherwise it does not.
Yep.
Well, actually, let's be careful about that, right? Because after you win a challenge by 5 or more, ladies don't have to be participating. You could still, new Marjorie can go get you the big bodies to enable you winning by 5. And like Superior Claim, which most people forget, this works in defense and on offense, right? It works both ways. As long as you win the challenge by 5, and it's not necessarily only a power challenge. So when you're facing on those against those factions that don't have the intrigue icon, I'm not saying that it's like super bonkers or whatever like this new Marjorie, but this is a good card that I could see slotted as a 1 of or 2 of in many decks, and it's something else that just means that if somebody sets up and they have Tyrell main, we now have to start being careful about anything when they're trying to win challenges by 5. Used to be a year ago, everybody was afraid to put to the sword. We were only keeping an eye out for military challenges, not let them win by 5. Now for Tyrell, we got to be careful.
I play a defensive deck, so the number of times people get +5 on me is very rare in a game because I'm defending challenges, whereas most people are like, "Oh, unopposed, unopposed, unopposed," and then I'll do 3 of my own unopposed challenges because that's where this game is. It feels like sometimes, but so maybe for other people this is easier to trigger, but against me, getting +5 on a challenge is not easy. And then there's also the addition of like you have to build your deck around this. When you have no ladies out, this is a blank card.
Yep.
Agreed.
So after a Valar or after a wildfire, whatever that makes you have to choose. Like if you had a couple ladies, but then you had to choose only 3, and you went down to Randall, Marjorie, and some other lord, you suddenly only have 1 lady. This is now worse than a Superior Claim. And then in addition, you have the fact that it can be canceled by Hand's Judgment for free. It'll be in the rushiest of rush decks, but I don't think it'll be anything else. In Melee, it'll be good, but who cares about
for sure. That's something
who cares
else.
about Melee? That's such a European thing to care about. So
I actually like the fact that it's 0. I actually think that that's one of the ways of peeling it back a bit and trying to keep it like you can control it easier, obviously, because you don't have to keep that 1 goal for the Hand Judgment, and hopefully Hand Judgment does kind of crawl its way back into the meta, except for Night's Watch, which tends to run it just because of treachery. But no, I find it's an interesting card. I hope that it's actually played, but you're right. I mean, I think it'll fit into mostly Rush.
And in terms of it fitting in, I think it would have to be in a banner deck. And I guess now that you have the ability to banner 2 factions in, it makes it a lot more likely to trigger. But currently in Tyrell, there is obviously Marjorie, Queen of Thorns, that Ailery and Brienne are the only ladies. So it kind of limits you in the deck building sense.
Yeah.
But enough of that. On to the next one.
On to the actual important
cards. Which is interesting. Joe gets to read this one. It's like he rigged this or something.
It's almost like I rigged it or something. Character, Night's Watch. Eastwatch Carpenter. He's non-unique, non-loyal. Like I said, 3 cost, 3 strength, and a power icon. He's a builder. No attachments except weapon, and reaction after you collect income. Gain 1 gold for every 2 Night's Watch locations you control.
Dan?
So, am I supposed to speak first?
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
It's funny. Well, I don't understand the circle. I mean, we're going around in circles, and I'm all confused and
It's
dizzy right now.
it's the circle on the stream. It's the circle on the
um,
stream.
it's funny because this is one of the cards that before actually recording we kind of mentioned or talked to each other and we're asking each other his opinions, and I'm not super excited. Like some people were thinking and saying, "Oh wow, you're giving a Night's Watch economy. We're all afraid of Night's Watch right now because they're everywhere and we got to be careful." And yeah, but right now the way the Night's Watch curve is so low that they don't necessarily need this power Monocon, and he's still fragile to first snow. So I want to test him out. I want to play him. Obviously, you're gonna have the locations because that's the way a lot of the Night's Watch that's being played, especially Fealty right now, plays. And then I thought, and I remembered that we have a box coming up. And I think that the cost curve for a little while, people are going to be testing, they're going to be playing a lot of more expensive cards, is going to change. So I see him actually seeing play once we get that Night's Watch box. So definitely worth trying out.
I the first time I read this card, I got upset because I thought that that maybe it wasn't necessarily something that the Night's Watch required, and then
You get upset just by looking at Night's Watch
I know,
cards, though.
I know, and then I thought about it further, and I sent Rob St. John a message, and we talked about it a little bit, and he kind of calmed me down and backed me off the ledge a little bit. But then I played the game today that Joe watched. So right before the stream, I was playing on Throne Techie. Throne Techie. This stream is brought to you by Throne Techie. I was playing on Throne Techie,
They
and
didn't pay us
I think
anything.
in the first turn he dropped, what was it, like Haunted Forest, the Bridge of Skulls, and maybe that might have been it. And
Yeah, that was how he started. It was turn one. He had two
he
locations
had two
out.
locations out, and I was like, yeah, that's not bad. In my mind, it was, Night's Watch has a ton of locations out just as soon as the game starts, kind of thing, which isn't really the case.
Yeah.
So I think when you think about it, it's really not that bad that he's getting, 1 gold for every 2 locations. To get all that stuff out, it already costs a lot anyways, I think. So this is a card that's going to be a lot later in the game that he starts seeing benefits from it, I think, again. My one thing with this card, my one hope for this card is that it makes people somehow play Brandon's Gift, because now there's another builder. And people, I'm hoping that the Night's Watch players will, branch out and start to be a little bit more original and play, a different style, different types of cards now, like Brandon's Gift.
Jabba says
Jabba
no.
says no. I know it won't
Remember
happen.
Jabba?
I know it won't happen,
We're
but I
talking
just
to me about
hope.
Jabba says no.
I hope, that's all. I just hope that.
Shamar's like, if they start playing Brandon's Gift, then maybe I can start beating them.
I can actually
Hey,
yeah.
I won that game with Throne Techie today. Just saying, he conceded. what was it,
You
like
you
turn
threw him
6,
off his game
5?
by disconnecting for 5 minutes. Be honest.
That was internet issues, man, struggles. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a decent card. I just really don't see Night's Watch finding a slot for it because they already have so many good cards to fit. So are they really gonna not waste a slot, but pack in a slot on a 3-cost Monocon who, like the other characters, I guess he could benefit from a practice blade, but I don't really see it changing the deck too much.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn, Joe. Go.
You're
nuts.
the Night's Watch guy, right?
All right, so right now in my Night's Watch deck, I'm running 3 Haunted Forest, East Watch by the Sea, which is the next card, 2 Castle Black, a Shadow Tower, and a Wall. So I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can have up to 7 locations out at the same time. So conservatively, I'll say I can get 4 out by turn 3 or 4. So I'm getting 2 gold mid-game.
Yeah.
That's the Tywin mid-game.
Mhm.
Obviously, Tywin is the best when you set him up. And setting this guy up is not great because you're probably not getting that 1 gold until maybe the end of turn 2 or so, unless you get your cheap locations out
Mhm.
early. But you have to remember that a lot of Night's Watch right now are playing Valar Morghulis. A lot of Night's Watch are playing Here to Serve. A lot of Night's Watch are playing Counting Coppers, maybe even 2 Counting Coppers. Every single gold counts. I don't think I'd run 3 this guy because he's still a Monocon and that's just hard to fit in my deck. but I'd run 1 or 2 definitely. I mean, he's at cost, which is great because with the wall, he's a 3 for 4 strength. First Snow of Winter is not really seeing all that much play nowadays because Valar just cut its efficiency off completely. I'd run him. He's good. He's definitely good. And then, you see in the Night's Watch chapter, in the Night's Watch box, they previewed the Abandoned Stronghold, I think it's called, where you can kneel it to give give one character plus X strength, where X is the number of abilities you control.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another location. So that's 8 locations now. You can really rack up some gold with this card. And I'm not going to say that it's game breaking. I'm not going to say that it's a must play. I'm not even going to say that it's overpowered or anything. I'm just saying that gold is really good. There's a reason Night's Watch decks are running 3 Old Forest Hunters, because that 1 gold, and that's for a card. I mean, this is something I'm going to be meeting regardless. I'm going to get 2 locations out. If I'm not getting 2 locations out, I'm fucked anyway. Mm-hmm. So having this guy out in 2 locations, that's 1 gold. That's already an Old Forest Hunter trigger, and it's not something I don't have to discard a card for. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's not game breaking, but I'm not going to underrate it.
But it is economy, and it will help this higher cost eventually, or these weird and different decks, right? But you're right. I like how they've balanced off this or Old Forest Hunter, right? You're changing some of the things Night's Watch does well, whether it be draw or have a lot of locations, into economy, but it's conditional, right? So I actually don't mind the card. I think it's a good card. I don't know that it'll be 3 of forever, but I think it's a smart way of adding economy, whether it be to Night's Watch or to other factions. Hopefully other factions, this will be one of the ways that they actually bring some economy, transforming things that your faction does well into gold.
And the cost of it, I think, makes it a lot more fair as well. The fact that he comes in for 3. So
yeah,
it's
if he were 2, he'd be really strong.
Yeah. Even that -1 cost would have made him a substantially better card. So I like where he's sitting at the 3. And again, it's 3. You have to have 2 locations, and yes, that's easy for almost any faction to do, in faction locations. But again, that's still something else that has to be accomplished before the player starts to see anything from it. And I'm glad that I play a faction that is able to remove locations.
And you don't see anything from Shadow Tower Mason until you get 3 locations or attachments. So that's probably 2 locations for the Shadow Tower Mason, and that card's amazing. So
yeah,
that's fair. Anything else to say about this card before we move on to the next one?
No, I'm good.
All right, Eastwatch by the Sea, Dan.
Oh, it's me. I get the boring location. Eastwatch by the Sea is the Night's Watch location, 2 cost. It is loyal, the North, as a trait. Reaction: after the dominance phase begins, if you have a higher reserve value than an opponent, draw 1 card. And it is specified then an opponent. So I guess this is for melee, right? That they made that specification.
It'll definitely be much better in melee, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta go, Shamar?
So that's me, yeah. Without saying too much, it's an okay card. I mean, draw's always good if you can get it. The fact that it gives you +1 reserve and rewards you for having higher reserve, obviously that's immediate synergy on 1 card, so it doesn't make it like a combo janky kind of thing. So
can a card synergize with itself?
Yes. Shut up.
Please?
Shut up, Joe. You know what I mean. Freaking jerk. Shut up. Anyways.
But no, you're right.
The fact that
fit into a combo piece
giving you exactly. You don't have to worry.
It enables itself more than
exactly. You play the card, you're gonna get +1 reserve, and then
let the French guy correct your English.
So, there you go. It's giving you draw, and that's fantastic. And that's all I have to say about that. Forrest Gump.
Yeah. Well, I like that it's loyal because now it's 1 cost for my fealty deck. That's always fantastic. It's another location to help with the Eastwatch Carpenter, which is fantastic. It's the North, which is fantastic. I don't know why, but it is. And and like you said, it works with itself. In the last chapter pack we were talking about Fist of the North, or Fist of the First Man. Sorry. And I said it was a pretty bad card because how often are you going to have higher reserve than your opponent? Because if you have a 6 and they have a 6, then you're going to get 1 reserve. And that's not well, shit, you know, you don't get it.
Mhm.
But this, if they have a 6 and you have a 6, well, since you have this, you have high reserve. And in addition, a lot of Night's Watch decks have resorted to running the Iron Throne because fucking Baratheon is Baratheon.
Yeah.
You need to offset their bullshit as much as you possibly can. So, you know, it's not going to trigger every turn, especially if you're playing like Trading with the Pentoshi or Valar, which has 5 reserve. But on a 6 on a 6 versus 6, like when you're playing Here to Serve and they're playing Noble Cause, suddenly you win, which is not the case with Fist of the First Men.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like it. It's card draw. So you have your Ravens, and then you have Eastwatch by the Sea. More card draw, more cards that you see, better. I like it.
I also find the design space and how it was designed interesting, right? Because you trigger this once the dominance phase begins. So basically, you're going to draw your card before you have to actually discard to taxation, where you're discarding for reserve. So it's interesting. It's giving you that advantage, but may make you make that choice. You're right that the +1 reserve is important because the Iron Throne is everywhere right now, because Baratheon as a banner or as a main house is just everywhere and that good. And it's draw, man. Who's going to say no to draw? It's a good card.
Exactly.
It's a decent card. It's decent.
The art's pretty cool, too.
Yeah.
It's all right.
They got a little ship stock there. That's nice.
It's pretty mediocre. It's freaking.
Don't worry. If Greyjoy wins one thing out of this pack, is they win the artwork challenge.
Well,
Shamar's such a little bitter Bessie.
once we get there. So Fickle Bannerman, because you guys love Baratheon, is a 3-cost character with a military and power icon, 5 strength, and he is not loyal, but he's an ally, so easy to get rid of. Bestow value of 2 and renown. Forced reaction: after you lose a power challenge, the winning opponent takes control of Fickle Bannerman unless you discard 1 gold from it. Joe?
The rich get richer, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a 3 for 5 strength, Bicon with renown. And how often do you win power challenges against Baratheon?
Thank you.
Honestly.
Thank you.
I mean, it doesn't happen all that often. I've had entire games where it's not happened. Because they're like, okay, kneel the ranging party. Okay, okay, and then even-handed justice to kneel the other ranging party.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have 3 strength for power now.
And let me
That
tell you
sucks,
something.
buddy.
You'll be winning even less power challenges with this guy, who's not even unique. So it's like,
Yeah.
forget it.
At the red
Power
keep on him.
challenges is a Baratheon thing.
So here's the thing. So we all know that this card is good, right? We can agree that this card is good. Now,
when you're
if,
paying 3 for it.
if you're a Baratheon player, so you pay the 3, how much would you bestow on it? Or what do you think is do you think you even have to bestow on it? Would you
Depends
just
on
leave
when
at
you
0?
play it. If I have the, well, not me, because I would never play Baratheon.
You need the board
But if the
presence.
Baratheon player has the red keep out and they have Melisandre and they're doing the whole kneel thing, I wouldn't put a single gold on this guy. If it's like turn 1 and I don't really have everything set up yet, I might put a gold on him. 1 gold. Probably never 2. Probably never 2.
I don't mind Baratheon when I'm playing them. I mind them when I'm playing against them. But and my girlfriend plays a lot of Baratheon recently.
Ugh.
So personally, yeah. Hey, there you go. I got a lover for something else, right? Personally, I find Baratheon is not strapped for gold, but close, because they have a lot of that higher end stuff that's more important than this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do have the gold laying around, maybe, but you're better off bluffing for a Scene in Flames or for an even-handed justice or stuff like that. So I see very few situations where you would toss a gold on it, but that's just feeling it without playing with the card or against it.
Mm-hmm.
I find it's a fantastic card when you're paying 3 for the 5 strength with the power challenge on it. And yes, he's got renown, and you're going to lose him, but you could always win him back, I guess.
Yeah.
Which may be hard, but it could happen. I personally don't see, once this guy hits the board, unless there's a hard reset, or unless the Baratheon player is playing against another Baratheon player who starts kneeling the stuff, or there's a gazillion stealth everywhere, I don't see Baratheon losing a power challenge if they have the regular stuff even one of their main characters, and this guy and a red keep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, they can always get it back. So unless it's a 14-14 game, and this guy has renown, and you lose a power challenge, well, first of all, it's 14-14, doesn't matter because you just lost the power challenge. But if it was 13-13, and you lose a power challenge, and he had a
math is hard, okay?
If it's 13-13 and you lose this guy to renown, that sucks. But more times than not, you'll lose it for a turn, maybe two. Unless you're just fucked, in which case, you fucked anyway.
Yeah. I think in thinking back to all the times that I've played against Baratheon decks in tournament play, like you said, it's very rare that you're able to consistently win power challenges against them. Those are the games that you end up winning. But I find most times the reason why I lose, obviously, is because I can never get a power challenge off. And if I do, I might get one. So if this guy gets a bestow 1 on him, and they lose that first one, they're kind of like, yeah, whatever, that sucks. But he's still on my side of the board. And so now you got to push through and win a second one. And while you're going all in on trying to get that done, they're doing other things and smacking you in the face in the other aspects of the game. So I think, again, this is a very good card because it forces your opponent, if you're the Baratheon player, to kind of tunnel vision on that, because now they're going to be wanting to get that renown off the board as quickly as possible. That being said, there are ways to get rid of him because we know that he's an ally. He's an ally traded character. But
you mean all the ways that people leave in their binders?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying even though there are ways, it's not like there are ways that get played right now. So that makes this card even stronger because no one plays that ally removal really.
I mean, he comes with a little bit of risk, but
he has risk, but the reward is far greater,
I think.
And that's that. Unless you guys have more to say about him, it's Baratheon, man.
He's a nice, simple, strong card
with renown. The renown is just unnecessary, but whatever.
It is.
I think that the renown kind of enables this whole fight and this whole. You're right. I mean, if your opponent puts this up on the board against you, that whole renown eventually will get 1 power, or the potential of getting the 1 power makes the fact that they'll fight for it a little bit more than if it would have just had the strength and the icons. Mm-hmm. It's just that smidge more where it'll make this tug of war around this character a little bit more interesting. But
I just look for the day that my opponent has 3 of them out and they each have 2 power, and I somehow sneak through and win and claim all 3 of their characters with the power on it, and somehow it'll never happen. But when it does, I'm popping off of table flipping.
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna be so rude.
If there's one thing that's valuable in a review, it's when you talk about 1 in a million chance plays.
Oh yeah, everyone needs to know. We all need to know.
It's super valuable.
The 1 in a millions, come on, guys. I live by those. I live by those. Next card, Storm's End.
This is me?
Yeah.
Alright, Baratheon location. 1 cost. Loyal. Unique. Storm's End. It's Stronghold. Reaction. After you win Dominance, discard 1 power from your faction card to choose 2 characters. Each of those characters gains 1 power.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, you were talking about win more?
Yeah.
This is a perfect example.
This is so win more. It's crazy.
And I'm usually the guy who will make excuses and thinking of a niche play and say, come on, man, you can't say it's win more. It's not that bad. It'll make for interest. Yeah, forget it.
That's pretty much it. I'm
not impressed.
Yeah. At first, I thought that it was, again, like looking at it at face value, you kind of just think of all the times that you've played against Baratheon and just got smacked in the face during dominance, and how it sucks watching the power swing, and the fact that just makes it even more swingy. But I don't think that. I just think that there's too many ways to deal with the character power on the board. It's very easy to deal with that.
You're getting more power, but it's more fragile. And this card is costing you a card slot for something that you're already doing by winning. So
exactly, you put this in, and you're getting rid of something that's much better in your deck to play this card. So
let me tell you what this card is good for. This is a perfect page holder or placeholder in my book that I'm reading right now.
Hey, somebody will play it. Someone will play it.
And that's Shamara's line.
Somebody will play it, and it'll do annoying things to you, and probably piss you off that 1 on 10 game. But other
Yeah,
than that,
because somebody's actually beating you with a terrible card, but
Yeah,
it
so
happens.
yeah, that's the biggest problem I have with it is like I understand the initial reaction, like, oh, more dominance tech,
Yeah.
like, or are they gonna actually print something that Baratheon actually participate in the game a little bit? So I understand that reaction, but that's just a gut reaction that you really shouldn't follow. This card is
Yeah.
not gonna be played. If you take this out, what the fuck are you taking it out for? Like, are you taking out an even-handed justice? Are you taking out a scene of flames? Are you taking out one of your chambers? I mean, what is a worse card in your Baratheon deck than this? And it has to be Baratheon because this is loyal, so you can't do Banner the Stag to just go like, dominance.
Mhm.
You actually have to take out one of your Baratheon cards from your main deck. So, I mean, I look at Gendry, who is just a static +1 power, and he's not really played all that much either.
That
So-
sometimes as a one-of, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's a one-of. So if Gendry is a one-of, and this card you're actually taking power off your house card
Yep.
and putting it onto your characters. Look, when you have, and it's two different characters too. So it's not even like
Yeah.
you can't even stack power on a guy with a bodyguard. So you need two protected characters in order for this card to be good. And yeah, you'll have some games where you have that, but you'll have other games where you have just Robert protected, and then everyone else is susceptible to Valar, and then you're just throwing power away.
Yeah.
I think that the gut reaction of like, oh, more Dominus tech is just, yeah, leave it in the binder. It's probably not gonna be all that great. Maybe as a 1x if you're feeling feisty, but you really don't need to.
Yeah, as a dare.
That's a dare.
I dare you to play Storm's End. Ooh, and win 2 out of 3 or something. Yeah, I guess if the card would be the other way around, right? Because I
Take
don't
it off
see
a
it.
character and split 2 onto your house card.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That'd be broken.
ridiculous. That'd be
Oh my
ridiculous.
god, that'd be so stupid.
Don't give FFG ideas because I know that's coming down the pipe. That's probably coming down the pipe very soon.
FFG's
Oh,
like,
man.
wait, what? That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's make Barra Dominance even more important and more stable.
All right, next card. Stone
Hey,
Rose.
Yeah, there's some Lanny cards in here. All right.
Go nuts, man.
Was it me?
Yep.
Ah, so I actually cut it butt in there for a good reason. So we have the Stone Crows. 3-cost Lannister character, military icon only. 3 strength, non-loyal, traded clansman. He has ambush 3 and bestow 2. Reaction: after you win a challenge in which Stone Crows is attacking, discard 1 gold from it to have the losing opponent choose and kill a defending character. And that just got me to realize that when this card enters play, move up to 2 gold from your gold pool to this card. So you can actually bestow off an ambush. It's interesting.
And you know that
Yeah.
they can do it. You know that they can do it. I like this card personally. Will it see much play? I don't think so because the Klansman decks aren't really the most popular currently. And it always makes me think of, like playing decks with the throwing axe, where it would be great if I could throw this challenge in and have my opponent defend and kill 2 people, 1 off the reaction and 1 off of claim. But because we're not playing against AI, people are usually much smarter than that, and it doesn't usually go that way. Like I said, it would be nice for it to happen. We know that Lannister could afford this very easily with all the money that they have just flying around during the challenge phase. But I just can't see it making its way into the mainstream Lanny decks. In the Klansman deck, that would be pretty cool to see it work out that way. But in terms of like actual competitive play, it's kind of a meh from me.
I think it's interesting, but I don't think it's good. I thought it was funny when these first 2 cards were spoiled by, I think it was the White Book, and we'll get to the other one soon, but I thought the most interesting part of them was their Klansman cards that actually make you want to play core Tyrion, which to me is just a bad design.
Yeah.
Because it's like, first of all, they're ambush 3 and bestow 2, so in order to get them out without Harrenhal in the challenges phase to make it actually a surprise, you'd need 5 gold in the challenges phase. Best way to do that is core Tyrion. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh, well, clans Tyrion can get gold too. It's like, yeah, by returning clansmen to their hand after they win a challenge, fine. But that's also for raising claim and drawing cards, and getting gold is definitely the worst of those 3, I'd say. So it's a clansman card that makes you want to play core Tyrion, which is just bizarre to me. And then in addition, they're already so good at killing characters. The Lanny Reigns deck that runs Wildfire and then does Circe to do a 2 claim, I mean, that's already happening. So do you really need more additional kill on top of that? It just seems unnecessary. And like Storm's End, what's the worst card in your deck that you're going to take out for this card? I don't know. I don't know what that card is, but Treachery. I can't really think of it. Yeah, take out Treachery for Stone Crows. It's a pretty good idea. And working with the card that, like, when a card comes into play, give it an icon, the Mountain of the Moon or whatever that location is called, that gives an icon, this card becomes better. But as a military monocon, it's like, okay, you know. My best thought is, like, Harrenhal, 1 gold is basically a winner's coming. That's, you know, that's the best thing to do. And then in addition, if this guy's attacking, you can just let it go unopposed, and then he can't do it.
Yeah, just like Throwing Axe.
Yeah, like Throwing Axe. Yeah, this is essentially a Throwing Axe, and we all know how much Throwing Axe is played.
I try all the time, and it just
fizzles. Yeah, we know you do. Mr. Raiders from Pike, bullshit deck.
Yes.
Stupidest. I'm gonna bring that up every single time.
Yo,
well, I'm gonna keep 3 gold just to ambush in ice.
Guys, we gotta remember that they don't just make cards for the competitive scene, right? They also make cards for the guys that sit in their living rooms, play with their buddies with a couple of beers, and just make decks for fun and just do fun stuff. So this would be an example of just like,
yeah, it's just
you're playing just some fun decks. You're trying to pop off some hilarious things, and that's pretty much it.
It's a great way to make your friends go like, dude, you're a dick.
Yeah, you're an ass, man. Why would you do that? On to the next dumb play. Let's go.
So if I'm clear, you play Greyjoy practically exclusively. You play Night's Watch practically exclusively.
Come on.
Practically. And I'm the only whore here who actually plays all 8 factions. Plays them very badly, all 8, but I play all 8. Let's be clear on one thing. You're never going to bestow 2 of this guy. You're going to bestow 1. Because that trigger is going to go off only once, and then he's chud or he's removed or something happens. So worst case scenario, it's a 4-cost ambush, so it's a hound. And you may actually trigger his reaction and you're applying pressure. That I actually toyed around for a while and had a lot of fun with the range deck that plays like half the module of Clansman. And that was the whole thing, right? You were right. You play the Circe, you wildfire into it, and then with your Clansman and or Timit, son of Timit, which I was very hard on at first, you're trying to add extra claim and reduce the board. The thing is not all games work out extremely well with that. Eventually you'll whittle down the board, but you're usually coming from behind and trying to go for that power. So is he a good card? Yes, because he'll tech into that whole Clansman thing. Is the Clansman deck tier 1? Not necessarily, unless you're doing it Reigns. And is it fun? Of course. I'm happy they're actually taking that whole Clansman direction, keep giving us cards for it. So it's interesting, and if he just enables unopposed, so be it, because one of that deck's weaknesses is table and chair. So the chair is the Iron Throne, and the table is the Chamber of the Painted Table. Back home we call it the IKEA set. Well, the IKEA set actually beats this Clansman deck or the Reigns deck. It's really annoying. It's passive power gain. So if he's actually getting unopposed, that's one way to attack that deck. Besides that, he's...
If this guy had the Moon Brothers action where he could just come in as an attacking character, he would be amazing.
Yeah, then he'd be amazing.
But the fact that you have to declare him as an attacker, there's currently no way that I can think of where you can just plop this guy in and he's attacking when he previously was not. You know what I mean? So you can't do a thing, like you can't even do the Raiders of Pike bullshit where they defend and then you're like, oh, I ambush him. I ambush a throwing axe on here. So like they will be able to defend with full knowledge of what you're doing. So if you drop this guy out and then attack with him and they can't stop it, they're like, oh, I guess I'm not defending, and then, you know, that could be good in some circumstances, but
in general, he's giving you the unopposed attack. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so I don't know. I just don't see this card really getting played, man. It costs too much to pop that up. I think this whole pack, like the whole introduction of this bestow keyword that didn't even exist in 1.0 or anything like that. This is the first attempt at something brand new and flavorful to the game. And so I think you can't really put too much expectation on the bestow cards currently. It all seems like they're all kind of...
Oh, there's at least one good one in this pack, and there's an awesome one coming up that everybody's seen the spoilers to. There are going to be some interesting bestow, but that's the whole point of bestow. I had this discussion with Alexander Hines when we went up to his Quebec City store championship, right? It's not supposed to be this awesome keyword that kicks ass and everything. It's just giving you this option that you can do. It's like in the middle of La La Land where, oh, am I going to bestow or not? I have some spare gold. Maybe I'll throw in a couple of bucks, you know? And it's fine. It's that extra option on certain cards. But so
I get it. That
I don't think there'll be that many that are bestow that are like, wow, you know, super powerful, but...
Yeah.
You're right.
Someone, I just check the live chat every once in a while, and the guy said Stonecrows also empowers Timid. So yeah, you can ambush this guy in, and make you have more clansmen for Timid to kill. You could also ambush in any of the other clansmen. So
yeah,
I don't know.
We spent too much time on this crappy card. Let's move on.
We spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah, so attack from the mountains. I think that is me.
I forgot.
Yeah, it's me. Dan was last. So 2-cost event. It's obviously Lannister. Attack from the mountains. Reaction: after you win a challenge in which you control an attacking clansman character, put a clansman character into play from your hand.
Okay. The same comment as before. You have a card that is a clansman card, but it makes you want to play Cortherian. After you win a challenge in which you control an attacking clansman character, you know what you could do? You could have clansman Tyrion, right? And then you attack, win, return a clansman to your hand to gain the 2 gold, and then play this and put that same clansman back out. Stand 3-card combo. It'd be amazing. That's the only thing I got for this card. I mean, it's bad. It's a 2-cost event. And it requires winning. It requires a certain keyword or trait, and it requires you to actually win with a certain trait. So many conditions, man. It could work, but why put in the effort?
Klansman deck desperately needed a Klansman-based event that was kind of like Blood of My Blood, which is very expensive, but can actually swing games. And this is just a bad jumper that has harder triggers or is more selective, right? Because they already have those effects.
But it's a permanent jump, right? So there's that at least.
It is.
At least it's permanent. If it were like discard at the end of the turn, this card is garbage.
Yeah.
So
that's all we've got to say about that one. Perfect.
Yeah, it's in competition for one of the worst.
On to the Greyjoy, which is we'll see. Drowned Disciple.
Okay. Drowned Disciple, he's a Greyjoy character, non-loyal, non-unique. 3-cost, power icon, 3 strength. Drowned God. Reaction: after a character enters play from your dead pile, choose a Drowned God character and have it gain 1 power. Limit twice per phase. Dan?
Are you seeing the light at the end of the tunnel there, Shomar? There's actually going to be a different Greyjoy deck that maybe eventually by the end of this game can win something.
Oh, you mean the Greyjoy deck where you don't want to use Iron Mines or anything that saves before you hit the dead pile? You just want them to die first?
You can be selective and choose, but you know what this card wins? This is my favorite art of the whole pack. It's probably one of my favorite pieces of art in a long time. I mean,
the funny thing.
Any of the Damperes can just go back to their dressing rooms. This guy's awesome.
This shit looks like Damper.
It does. It does
Doesn't
look
he?
a lot like Dampere.
Like
The first
before.
thing when I first saw this, I thought he was holding an umbrella, and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna need way more than an umbrella." But
Oh.
I mean, it looks like an umbrella. I don't know, but yeah. Comments on this, Shamar? You're the guru.
My first reaction was, we have all these cards that save us from hitting the dead pile. So the fact that it says limit twice per phase, how the hell are you getting 2 characters out of your dead pile back onto the board twice in a phase? If it was any character and then you get to put a power on, then fine. But currently, unless have not been playing 2.0, I don't see a way to get a character from your dead pile onto the board twice in a phase. You can do it in twice in a phase. You can do it in the plot phase, obviously. No,
there
you
are a
can't.
few ways.
Actually,
There
you
are a
can.
few.
Is it reinforcements or is reinforcements discard? It's not even dead.
I don't know, but I mean, obviously, anything that
So-
allows you to do a second power challenge. Oh no,
But-
you need to kneel Old Wick, right? So there you go. So that's the thing, is eventually there may be a combo. They just put a
Eventually.
limit in there to control the card, so it doesn't go crazy off.
All
They
right,
should
guys,
just left it at limit once per phase and don't even give me the hope.
I've been thinking about this, and I've come up with the perfect combo for this card. Are you ready? I wanna hear that you're ready, Shamar.
I'm ready.
I'm afraid it
Let's
was
go.
gonna.
Okay, here we go. This is what you do. All right. You play nothing but Drown Gods, except you run Banner of the Watch. All right, you with me so far? In Banner of the Watch, you play Craster. In the plot phase, you run Valar. Specifically, do not save your Drown God characters. Save these guys instead. All right? And then sacrifice Craster, bring back your Drown Gods cards, gain power, win in the plot phase. Throw Benjen in, that's 4 power in the plot phase, you win. Good game.
It's
What do you
not
think?
happening. Terrible. It's not. I don't care. You can't tell me. I will never go. Oh my god! Like, this card is just. I don't even want to talk about it. This card is trash. Let's go on to the next one. You can't. You're not gonna do anything.
It's trash with the game, the way the game is now. Okay, maybe I'm putting too much faith. I haven't played this game in 1.0. And I'm new to a lot of the FFG mentality in games, and maybe I'm giving them too much credit of something coming up and of a different deck that's going to play different, that this may actually enable to help you with power gain. It's not a terrible card. It's just terrible in the game with the card pool that we have right now.
You know what?
Right.
I took a lot of heat. I got a lot of heat on Facebook for saying Old Wick was crap when it came out. Everybody saw this card as the savior. Right?
Yeah.
So eventually something's going to be coming out of these cards.
The worst part about the Drown God theme is that none of the best characters are Drown Gods. All
Right.
the Drown Gods are like little piece of shit cards, like, you know, the
Except the priest.
Bicon.
The priest is okay.
Yeah,
He's the
the
only
priest,
good
but
one.
he's
He's
just
a
a
good
generic.
card, but he's still
He's just
yeah.
a generic thing,
Yeah.
right? So you're not excited about bringing him back. You know, you have the core Aaron Dampere who can bring back characters in the dominance phase. If you have that card and this card, and you have enough Drown Gods characters in your deck to actually do something, yeah, it's fine. But in order to run a Drown God card, you're not like.
No,
There's
they
fine-
need it. They
there's
need another
fine-
army like the army.
I just
There-
don't. A Junk God army. I just don't see myself fitting Old Wick in so that I can try to get this going with Aaron and then putting the Iron Thrones back in and doing all this nonsense when I can just save my characters as they die and win the game the conventional way. Like, this is just.
Yeah, this card it rewards something that it doesn't do. So when a card
Yeah.
does come back from the dead pile, it gives them power. This card doesn't bring cards back from the dead pile.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's inherently a combo piece, and
Yes.
combos are difficult to build around. I mean, they're just inherently difficult to build around. So you have to have this guy. You have to have enough Drown Gods to make it worth it. You probably have to have Old Wick, and then you have to have things that bring cards back from the dead pile consistently, not just Old Wick, because Old
Yes.
Wick's not enough. So there's Core Aaron, there's Old Wick, and then Old Wick, the character's temporary, right?
Not necessarily.
Yeah,
Okay,
if you win by
win
5.
the challenge, he stays. Yeah.
You have to win by 5.
I thought he
That's what
went
we
to your
just talked
hand if you won.
about. It
by
goes to your hand, right? It goes to your hand
Oh,
if you win by
goes
5.
to your hand. Okay.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
so Old Wick isn't even really that great
No.
because you get a power, but then it disappears. So
Yeah.
unless you're at 14 power, like we've been talking about, that doesn't really help.
No, you get the power, but you have to choose a Drowned God character already on the board, not that one that you saved. It doesn't matter what you save. The power just goes
Oh,
to
choose
a
a
Drowned
Drowned God
But
character.
the thing
Yeah.
is, most of the Drowned Gods are non-unique, so now you have to have Iron Minds or Risens to save that guy when your opponent tries to target him later
Yeah.
on. So there's just too much stuff for that one character or
Oh,
few
okay.
characters.
Well,
Like it's
all right, this is less bad than I thought. I thought it was when a Drowned God character enters play
Oh,
dead
no.
pile.
No.
Okay,
Old
this
Wick
is a
is
little.
Old Wick is
This
the
is a-
top.
this is
the
a-
top
this isn't
Drowned
as-
God.
This isn't as bad as I thought it was. Okay.
It's not as bad,
That's-
but Old Wick, you need to have a dead Drowned God to bring back and do it. So that
Yes.
screws it up as well.
Well, this with Core Aaron isn't bad, but yeah, the fact that you have to
But
put
the deck is not there
God is
yet.
not
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's seeding. It's seeding for a potential future deck, but right
I
now
hope.
it's not playable.
Next,
And you were laughing at me about the Drungun army. The Drowned Men are army traded, so they need
Yeah,
another
sure.
card similar to that.
Know your fucking cards,
bro.
Especially Greyjoy cards. Man. Especially Greyjoy cards. But something else like that doesn't cost an arm and a leg and can be a decent body, whether it's triggered through other cards, something like that. And then all of a sudden you're starting to piece this deck together. But you're right. I have faith in the fact that this is a seed, but it's not there right now.
I don't see another Drowned Men army come. What the hell do they call them?
Shamar. We
Who
know
cares?
we know that you're a downer on Greyjoy cards. Okay, we
I'm just
understand.
being realistic here.
By the way, what did you think of that review that Richard Walker posted where he had Balin as the third best card in the second cycle?
I don't think that it was the third best card, but I'll be completely honest. After that, reading that review, I built a deck. And I said, you know what? Rather than just hate on it and never play it, I'll build a deck and try it out. And with the deck that I built, and this was based on Throne Techie matches, I just played 10 matches on Throne Techie, and I won 8 of the 10, I believe. And in the 8 games, he had come out. So he's okay. Like,
Hey, look at you broadening your horizons, Shamar. I'm proud of
Yeah,
you.
I'm impressed.
I'm still trying to decide which one is like. I get it. His ability's okay. It just sucked that there was one game where I got to trigger his +1, and then it's like,
Yeah, the +1 that may as well not be there. You don't have that doesn't have to be there, but just the standing military challenges is not bad. I was what was I gonna say? I was talking to Richard about his review, and he says that he's moved away from the unopposed Greyjoy. He's like, with all the Night's Watch around and with Baratheon kneeling a lot of your characters, it just doesn't work right now.
yeah.
So why force it? Why are you trying to force this shit? Just play good cards rather than trying to do this whole unopposed shit. And
He's right. I honestly don't play Raz the Kraken anymore. I went back to Clash of Kings because fuck it, I don't need unopposed. Just give me the extra power off of you, and I'm happy. Drop my Great Kraken count.
yeah.
Considering not even playing it, but the getting stealth on King Balin is really nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think that the Haunted Forest was like the last
Yeah.
dagger
Yeah.
that killed the unopposed deck.
Yes. Yes. That was when I said, you know what, Seastone Chair? Woo! Get the hell out of here, bro. Never play this card again.
That and the fact that there's a lot of attachments around,
Yeah.
whether they're positive or negative. It's like that's a card that's something a lot of people forget. They jump back into Greyjoy and it's like, oh, I'm going to use Seastone Chair, get the whole unopposed thing. Or I have to. Sometimes you're sitting in front of the Greyjoy player and you're like, okay, unopposed. So he's like, okay, Seastone Chair your character. You can't, man. I got a bodyguard.
Yep.
Oh, damn. Yeah, you forgot your own card or your own trigger. So, yeah, I can see how a lot of
It's
those
like,
cards
well,
are
I'll
right
kill your
now in the
Lannisport
meta.
merchant then, biatch. Seastone that guy now.
which is the one you were going to take for claim anyway. Yeah. Speaking about bad Greyjoy cards, how about we move on to another one?
Moat Kalen, yes.
Is this me or is this? No, I just.
I don't know. I think this is me, right?
Yes, Dan.
All right, I can count. Moat Kalen, 2-cost, bad Greyjoy card. Non-loyal, contested, which somehow inside of me, my faith in FFG, I believe that eventually is going to mean something. The North traded, which is Joe's favorite trait.
I love.
While there are more while there are more winter plot cards than summer plot cards revealed, reduce the initiative value on each opponent's revealed plot card by 3. And the reserve value on each opponent's revealed plot card... Whoa, did I read this wrong? Reduce the initiative value. Yeah, initiative value on each revealed opponent's plot card by 3, and then the reserve value on each opponent revealed plot card by 1. That's a lot of fucking text for...
I'm not laughing because you read it wrong. I'm laughing because it's just such a stupid card.
So dumb. Oh my goodness.
And it's sad because actually one of the good ways of playing Greyjoy right now is Greyjoy Winter, right? You're choking it early and you're trying to get your rush and your board set up and everything, and they finally helping Greyjoy want to have more winter stuff, and then they give him this crap.
Well, no, you got to think of the reason why they gave it to us, right? So Night's Watch just got a card that gives them +1 reserve and lets them draw. So this is the hard counter. Play this, and Joe's never drawing that one card because screw you, Joe. I got my Moat Kalen out, bro, and I'm gonna play a shit ton of winter cards, and we're good to go.
So the funny thing about this card, I have a feeling that this was better in playtesting. Like, I have a feeling that it was like reduce the reserve by 2, or maybe even 3, or something like really good. And the playtesters like, guys, this is the most unfun deck to play against we've ever seen in our entire lives. Please don't do this. Like, we don't need more reserve choke. Because I mean, you guys have played against the race in their midst Night's Watch choke deck.
Yeah.
Ending turn 1 with 2 cards in your hand is just bullshit.
It's the worst.
And if you had this card, and then like if they just keep compounding like Frostfangs, Moat Kalen, and their reserve is 0, I mean that just fucking sucks. So I have a feeling this card was better, and they just shit canned it right before they released, like right before they printed it, just because the playtesters told them like, please don't. So that's my analysis of this card. It's terrible because it probably was too good when they were testing it.
I like the art.
Well, we probably should have went back to the board today. Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Two beautiful Greyjoy cards for you there, Shomar.
This is definitely the water themed chapter pack, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
How
you
much
got
more water do we see? I can't even remember
you got
cards.
you got Oak Kalen, you got Slaver's Bay Port. Let's see what else here. You have Tumblestone. You have Eastwatch by the Sea.
All right.
You have Storm's End.
Drowned Disciple.
Drowned Disciple. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of water in this chapter pack.
Yeah. There's no heat dropping.
No.
You want to move on to the next one? Oh, you can continue.
Just to finish it off, I guess. How many of what's that guy? Fish Whiskers. How many of those do you run?
Right now, I'm not running any. I used to play with, well, because I don't really play that many winter cards anymore anyways. But I want to go back to just playing 1. I don't really want to play 2. Because the winter thing is what turns me off of him.
Yeah. I don't like this card just because it's a condition, and then you're getting a dubious effect. Like, what if you play a card and you won initiative anyway? Reducing their revealed plot cards initiative doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
And then what if it's late game and they only have 3 cards in their hand? Reducing the reserve doesn't even matter. So it's good on the first turn maybe to I don't know. It's a dubious effect, and I don't understand why you'd ever want to put it in your deck. And plus it's contested. Contested. We're getting some cards. We saw like a partial spoiler about discarding contested cards. So
just like allies.
It's not even, yeah, kind of like allies.
And that's
bad card.
Bad card.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they made it worse than it needed to be. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with your theory, Joe, that it was just too good in testing.
Yeah, I think like I said, they made it bad enough that it's not gonna be played, because if it were better, it would just be so unfun to play against.
Like Night's Watch.
Exactly like Night's Watch, yes.
Next card is the Giscari Elite. Is that me? That's me, yeah. I think that's how you say it. Someone's gonna correct me, but I'm gonna call it Giscari
It's
Elite.
Giscari Elite,
Giscari.
dumbass.
It's a 5-cost Targaryen character who's non-loyal, has an intrigue and a power icon, as well as 5 strength. It is also ally traded. Reaction: after Giscari Elite is knelt, choose an attachment or event in your discard pile and place it on the bottom of your deck. I like it.
I think it's good, you know. We already have that deck, that Targaryen deck that runs Isle of the Ravens and Shadow Tower or Shadow Black Lane and sometimes Piet Pre. He's the worst card of that combo, but
So
you know
bad.
he works well with those 2 cards because it's like, hey, if I'm fetching cards in my deck, why don't I just add all the fetch? And so this is good because you can recur attachments and you recur events, and then you can go get attachments and events, and then you can go do that. And Shadow Black Lane lets you shuffle your deck, so putting it on the bottom of your deck isn't all that big a deal. It's just another piece of that little combo that lets you recur Dracarys. And recurring Dracarys is pretty fucking good.
And Pot of Gold. Crown of Gold.
Pot of Gold.
Yeah.
Pot
my
of
bad.
Gold.
Crown of Gold.
And then in terms of stats, a 5/5 Bicon, it's not bad. It's just a good card. Especially since Targaryen got nothing the entire second cycle. They didn't get they might have gotten like 1 or 2 cards that they even play. It was that bad. So having a playable card, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's pretty sad that's the level you grade your Targaryen cards on, but
what about the fact that she's an ally?
I think people are freaking out about allies too much. It's only really going to come into play against Martell. No one's going to run Dissension until a really strong... Like, you're not going to run Dissension because there's decent cards to remove. You're going to run Dissension when there's a game-breaking card to remove. So until that game-breaking card comes out, Dissension's not going to be played. In terms of Martell, just watch out for the Ariane with 2 gold.
Yeah. Agreed.
On all...
On all fronts.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, decent body, interesting ability, and you want some more combos there, Mr. Greyjoy guy. You should be happy about this card. You can now play this with your fisherman that goes to get the cards in the bottom of the deck thing. You got a perfect combo there to actually get your Targaryen stuff.
Lord's
Is that fisherman loyal? He is,
Lord's
right?
Port Fisherman?
Yeah, Greyjoy
Something
Dragon.
like
It's coming back. Listen,
Yes.
There you go, man.
you already have the synergy with the loot and the Dothraki that kill stuff. So that's one synergy between Greyjoy and Targaryen. This is the second one. The deck builds.
Now you can put
Shamar.
you can put your throwing axes on the bottom of your deck and go get them. Throwing axes for days.
Yeah, after you trick them into falling for a throwing axe, you can go get it again. And you're like, aha, now I have it in my hand. You'll never defend it.
You guys are assholes. I'm going to the next card. Screw you guys.
It's just me.
Yeah. Slaver's Bay Port. More water, Joe.
More water. Targaryen location, non-unique, but loyal. 2 cost, Targaryen obviously. Slaver's Bay Port, Esso Strait, limited, martial in action. Deal Slaver's Bay Port to gain 1 gold. 2 gold instead if an opponent has 4 or more characters in his or her dead pile. If it says an opponent, so it's good melee too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's me?
Yep.
The game is finally going in an interesting direction and giving us more interesting or conditional economy. And for me, it's something I like seeing. I can't wait to see what the other factions are going to get. Because let's be frank, I mean, early game, you're...
I knew he was going to do it. I freaking knew it. Oh my god. I knew he was going to do it.
Okay, so you could be Frank and Shomar and you could be Joe and Shomar and I'll be Frank.
I just knew it. I'm sorry. Continue, Dan. Continue.
You're right that early game you're only getting 1 gold out of it. Okay, but it's easy for Targaryen to actually kill a lot of characters of the opponents, whether it be through its multiple military claims, burn effects, valor, etc., right? So, no, to me, that type of economy is awesome. I don't know if I guess I'm happy they actually put the limited keyword on it. Unless all other factions would have not have gotten this economy type and been not limited for every faction, could have accelerated economy for games. But no, I think it's a safe design space. I'm not saying it's the greatest card, but it's a good card. I believe it'll see play.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I like the idea again that, like you said, it's limited, and the fact that it comes in for $2 and it's limited, because really and truly, you know that again we focus a lot on Valar, but after Valar turn, there's definitely going to be a bunch of characters in the dead pile, and you're going to start to see that money come in. And then again, if you're playing with that Dothraki Blood Riders style deck, you know that Recaro, I believe, I think it's Recaro.
Depends.
Yeah.
What's the ability you're looking for?
Gains power when someone dies.
Or
Power? Yeah, that's for
power when someone's died, and then strength for each dead character.
That's Joe.
No, the strength is Jogo.
Jogo.
Stealth
Okay.
and
Well,
and
either way,
strength off the Jogo.
both of them are going to feed off of this, having people in the dead pile. So why not get money off of it too?
They should make a card called Jack Jokaro, and just have both those abilities.
Just have both abilities on the same card.
The picture would be this big, and it'd just be text.
I like it. You know, like you guys are saying, Valar is around. There's going to be plenty of dead characters. Drogo is out. 2 military claim. You're going to get dead characters. Dracarys, you're going to get dead characters. It's interesting that it's you know, early game is when you want your economy most, and then late game is when you're typically going to get the economy from this card. But
So would you do like 2 Rose Roads and 2 Slaver's Bay ports, or?
well, the interesting thing is, I don't even know how to balance limited cards because I've played in a deck. I've played a faction that never got a specific location in my faction. So I've always just done 3 Rose Road, 3 Kings Road. I bet this takes a place or 2 from the reducing location, honestly, or maybe a Rose Road. I mean, Rose Road is a delayed gold, so maybe this is a -1 on one turn and then +1 on the next turn, and then so on and so forth, and then potentially +2. I don't know. I'd have to once I see the Night's Watch card that gives me more gold, if I even get it, if I ever get it.
If.
Yeah, that's not even guaranteed, but if they print one for Night's Watch, I'll care to think about it. But right now, I don't really care to think about it because.
Dan, question for you: do you play 3 or 2 of your in-house reducers limited?
It all depends on the deck, and see, that's what I was going to say. Is one thing I like about this card. It's funny. I would not have thought that we'd spend as much time on an economy location. So it's good design because it's kind of built into what you're trying to do with your deck and the faction. Mm-hmm. And I hope that they all have different fluff like that, and they give us color to our decks going forward. So I haven't played Targ since the beginning of the first cycle. So I'm not very keen on how I would use or how I would slot that in with the other ones, but it's definitely competition with I see Rose Road or in-house reducer, right? Mm-hmm. Or depending if you're bannering, obviously then you got the Ocean Road, which is an awesome card all of a sudden, and it's going to take that much more value of what's coming up. But so we have options now. And
the Ocean Road is so broken.
Stupid, yeah.
It's so broken even Night's Watch can play it. That's pretty broken.
It is pretty broken, man.
I don't know. Well, Dan says I only play one faction, but I experiment a lot with everything except Baratheon and Martell. I don't really play too much Martell, but I've been playing a lot of Targaryen the past even few months, and I currently play a Targ Summer.
Okay.
And I think in terms of that deck, I already only play 2 copies of whatever that location's called, their in-house reducer, and 3 Rose Road and 3 Kings Road. But I could see myself dropping 1 Rose Road and potentially the second in-house reducer to try this card out at 2 copies to see how it goes, because I find that because Drogo's in the deck, there are tons of characters in the dead pile. Even when things aren't going well for me, people are still dying. So to see that money later on in the game would be fantastic. Like getting 2 gold just cause is amazing, I think. And I think that it's more valuable than getting a 0 on setup.
And one thing none of us have really talked about is that you can remove King's Roads. I mean, obviously the burst of economy is nice, but a King's Road, when you play it and then use it, it's a +2. and then you lose it. This is a +2 static.
Yeah.
Blasphemy!
So-
Nobody is going to remove King's Roads.
I don't play 3 King's Roads in Greyjoy, obviously, because Euron can just steal them.
Euron is his own little economy machine.
Yeah, but I like this card
Yeah.
too. I like what they're going with that.
Yep.
Next one, Ricasso.
Yes.
Picasso.
This is the bestow that I'm actually kind of excited about, and I'm happy to see the direction they took with this one. Not that it's overpowered, but Ricasso, I think it was my card, right? If I
yeah,
jotted
it
it
should
down right? Yeah, I did. Okay. It is Martell character. Obviously, he's unique. 3 cost. Intrigue and power, 3 strength. He is loyal, ally, and steward. He has bestow 2. And then the text says, you are considered to have X additional plot cards in your used pile. X is the number of gold Ricasso has.
That's so good.
We're talking options. We're talking kicker. Man.
So for me, I think that this is, again, one of the one bestow cards that I actually like, because you're not spending that gold that's on him. It sits on him, and it's going to do work for you while it's there, regardless of if you're able to meet these stupid conditions that are put upon that character, like with the other cards that we've seen. The ambush Lanny guy needs to be in a challenge. We need to win the challenge and have somebody defending. Then you can spend 1 gold, blah, blah, blah. This guy, he just has 2 gold. If you put the 2 on him, you've got 2 extra cards in your discard, in your used plot card pile always until
It's just
he
a
dies.
static thing.
So the fact that it sits there in the game, and there, like we said, there's no way to remove bestow gold yet, as of today, it's going to be a very strong and very annoying card, and probably make Ricasso a bigger target than other characters on the board.
I think Ricasso's great. The only reserve, or the only reservation I have about him is that Martell, they really like First Snow of Winter. I mean, they really like it. Because they have, Arya and Martell, so she can drop in shit to claim. They have Aryo, so he can drop in, and they work really well with First Snow of Winter for a lot of reasons. But barring that, if you ignore First Snow of Winter for a second, this guy is great because, first of all, his stats are fine. He's a 3-for-3 Bicon. And then just listen to the cards that he updates, or he improves. Dawn, Dorn Martell, Doran's Game, In Dorn's Name, Knights of the Sun, Starfall Cavalry, and the Prince's Plan, which we're about to get to. He also upgrades to Scorpion Sting, but nobody's gonna fucking play that card.
No.
So it's just you pay 2 gold, and then if you're running the Red Viper, I'm gonna win that big fucking challenge deck. This one guy just improved like 15 or 20 cards in your deck. That's just great value, and he's not going to go in every deck. Obviously, he's not going to go in your standard reset deck. He's not going to go in just an icon removal deck. He's going to go in the Red Viper deck, and he's going to be really good in the Red Viper deck.
I agree.
Yeah. We were talking theme and flavor and stuff, and that's what he does. He oozes Martell flavor in a direction that they kind of gave us with a few cards, and he's an enabler for that. Agreed. That just means that you got to make a choice. Are you playing a deck that really wants that First Snow or not, or is it going to be a timing thing where it all depends? But yes, that's the options, and that's what Bestow should be, and that's an amazing design.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And he's not OP. He's not OP, right?
Not
he's
OP
just,
at all.
He's just good.
Just good.
Annoying was the perfect word, right? A nuisance and annoying, and that's what you want Martell to be, except when you're playing against them. But that makes for good design.
And I sometimes like the idea of characters that can, sit on the board, and they don't necessarily have to be thrown into challenges to be a benefit to your deck. He's just there. He's working behind the scenes doing things, and you got to go and murder him. And that's it.
Yep.
So on to the Prince's Plan, which is myself. It's a 2-cost loyal Martell event. Action: choose a character. Until the end of the phase, that character gets +1 strength for each plot card in your used pile and gains a challenge icon of your choice. Synergy. Reaction: after you lose a challenge, pay 1 gold to return the Prince's Plan from your discard pile to your hand. And that's exactly what Martell wants to do, is lose stuff. And they want stuff in their used pile. So this card is just excellent for them. So, Joe, thoughts?
I think it's really good. We just talked about the last card, which is
Ricasso.
Ricasso, and this card is empowered by Ricasso. It's expensive. Yeah, two gold is definitely expensive, but they have the Tower of the Sun, and I know it's not played right now, but if more events come out that are worth spending, and if this whole recursion of events thing starts to become a thing, the Tower of the Sun becomes a pretty reliable source of economy. So then that might become a more valuable location. In addition, it gives icons, it gives strength, and it's challenge math manipulation, which is, like we've said a million times, it feels like, is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
In some reviews I saw, people were saying like, "Oh, finally, a Milk Nymeria is not complete garbage, because you can give her an icon."
Yeah.
And then another thing that I thought of, that I thought was good, would be like, that there's that card, I forget what the hell it's called, the Dornish Paramour, the thing
Yep.
that the guy that when you attack you can draw a defending player in.
Yeah.
It stopped being played because it's a 3 cost and it's only 1 icon. But if you can get a military power icon on that and then draw in somebody that that they don't want to, that they're saving, I don't know. It's just adding icons is good.
Mm-hmm. And if you're rich, you pull that person in, lose a challenge, and then pay 1 and take this back to your hand. Just do nonsense. Just nonsense.
Yeah.
Dan?
That, and let's not forget, the other thing Martel likes to do is remove icons. So you can actually add an icon to yourself, and so we're talking combos and stuff, but these are cards that are being played. I look at this card, and it just oozes, or seems to me, like a card that a pro player would use to beat my ass. It gives them all the options that they can use. It's just like, it's the better players are going to get much more money out of this card than the average Joe. And it's going to be in a lot of these Martel decks that are going to eventually start winning again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said he was Joe. He's not Frank, right? So yes. No, it's what Martel wants. I find it's a good card. I don't know what they're going to come up with, how it's going to be played, but it's got it all.
I'm excited to see where it goes.
Expensive, but
yeah.
Next one.
AGoT.
Yeah.
So, AGoT. She is a neutral, unique character, 4 cost, military and intrigue icons, 3 strength, wildling trait. AGoT cannot be knelt by card effects. While you control another wildling character, AGoT gains stealth. So the first thing that drew my attention... Oh.
No, go ahead.
The first thing that drew my attention was that it's good against Baratheon. Fuck Baratheon.
Yeah. Yep. And
that's it.
That's it. That's all we got.
Jabba says yes.
Jabba says yes.
No, I'm actually. You see, this was a card that I while we were setting up, because I hadn't seen the full pack, am very excited about. I don't know why or how. I've never played 1.0, but Wildlings is something that kind of, I don't know, tickles me the right way, and I'm very excited for something different. And this is actually a good Bicon with an interesting ability. It's funny how it plays into the meta right now, but we are getting Wildlings that are not necessarily only unique, so it'll play into Night's Watch with Jon Snow. We already have, what's her name, Asha out of Stark. So we are getting triggers and combos in other factions. The fact that she can't be knelt by card effects is actually pretty good, because we're starting to see Intimidate and how powerful that keyword is. Mm-hmm. And it's not just coming from Baratheon. Yeah, to me, the fact, I mean, there's a lot of other wildlings out there, so giving her stealth isn't that difficult. The 2 icons, some factions are lacking on that intrigue icon right now. To me, she was awesome in the show, and she's awesome on this card.
Yeah, I think I was looking recently at that Greyjoy mini curve deck that was posted, and I think with any of those mini curve decks, especially the Greyjoy one, where you're filling it out with some of the cheaper wildling cards, such as the Wildling Scout or the Northern Refugee, and you're playing the Winter Plots to get them out for a low cost, you know that you're going to have not only the Wildling Scout to give stealth to somebody on demand, but you can have a grit with with stealth because of the scout. First, do your one challenge, then spend the scout to give stealth to somebody else and do another one. Yes, she would lose her stealth in that case, but you're still getting 2 stealths out of a round for the Wildling Scout for just having the one card. And again, like you said, it's cool to see that, you know, we're able to now fill out a Wildling style deck and just creates a new style of play, or like a mini faction within a faction to use. So I like that they're kind of just broadening that design space and opening, I guess, possibilities for new things. And I think that that mini curve deck is actually one that is powerful enough to win tournaments if things go well and people continue to play the plots that they're playing. So yeah, I think she's a very good card, and I just like how she kind of advances the game a little bit.
All right, you guys want to hear another sick combo?
Let's go. Let's do this.
All right. So you got the new Jon Snow from the Night's Watch box. He's a wildling, and a bastardness steward. So he's a wildling, right? So he triggers her stealth. Then they also previewed Sworn to the Watch, which gives the attached character the Night's Watch affiliation, and then while the attached character has the military icon, it gains Ranger, Intrigue, Steward, Power, Builder, etc. So that gives her Ranger and Steward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they also previewed Jeremy Riker. Sir Jeremy Riker. It says each other Ranger character you control gains a power icon. So you get John out, you get Egret, you get Jeremy Riker, you put Sworn to the Watch on her. She's a Tricon with stealth that can't be knelt. You beat Baratheon.
But while you're setting all that up, they're just winning Dom and taking your power and doing all these things. So you finally get the last piece out, and you're like, yes, let's go. And they're like, and 15. GG. But no, that would be really cool to see all that stuff come together, and just all the things that people can do with a card like that, right? So I don't know. I think, like I said, it's good, and it's just nice to see that we're now going in a newer direction, and they're supporting that direction, because Wildling stuff in 1.0 was very fun.
Yeah, and you know there's gonna be wildlings in the new Night's Watch box, which comes out next month, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So she's gonna get more synergy, and hopefully she'll be good in Night's Watch. She'll be great when you have her with Jon Snow out. That's gonna be super Nedly.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be. She's a good card. I think that. I don't know if I can fit her in my deck, but I wouldn't mind running her in a Night's Watch wall deck just because of that, the fact that she can't be knelt.
right.
You know, it's good against Intimidate. It's good against Baratheons, all their kneel stuff. I mean,
And if one icon is slightly missing out of that Night's Watch, it is Intrigue, I think, right? There's obviously a lot of military because of the Rangers. You tend to get power from your builder characters and or stuff. Yeah, you get the Tricons and stuff, but an extra Intrigue icon, nobody'd complain about it. So
Dolores Ed. Hate that guy.
that's true. But I mean, that's one. Oh, are we losing Joe?
I think his mic's muted.
hello?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, hey.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Intrigue is if I were to rank them in terms of weakest, Intrigue would be in the bottom, but they definitely gotten stronger with Ed and Craster, and
No, I mean, they have some, but less.
they've gotten better, but it's definitely their weakest icon still. And especially like against Lanny Reigns, I'm not going to complain about having another Intrigue icon.
All right. Next card. We're almost done. This is card number 18. The Alliance Agenda.
Do you have somewhere to be, Shamar?
I don't have anywhere to be. Not yet. I still got a little bit of time. I can squeeze out a couple more minutes. So I can't remember.
So
who
if I'm not
started.
mistaken, this is me?
That's
Yep.
That's you. I guess.
I've been trying to count them or following them. So
Yeah, you're good.
the Alliance Agenda, as Shomar was saying. So it's an agenda. Show your so this card says your minimum deck size is 75 cards. You may run 2 banner agendas in addition to this agenda. This is the card that kind of scares me.
Shamar.
Who was first? Yeah, Shomar.
So I remember in 1.0 when the first agenda that came out saying you would play a 75 minimum card deck, and everyone's like, "Oh, this card's trash." That had a savior in that it told you that in the draw phase you drew an additional card. Was it 3 cards? The long plan? I think it was 3 cards you drew.
Yeah, it
instead
was
of 2.
3.
So you increase the deck size, you get to pack it with a whole bunch of good stuff, and then you're drawing more cards in the draw phase to hopefully see those things. And you'd fly through your deck still. This, however, 75 cards where you're still just drawing 2. Yeah, you get to put 2 banners in, but you're really diluting it, and I think kind of changing the direction of it for most decks. But some decks will benefit greatly from it. Like, I don't even want to imagine, Night's Watch Alliance with Stark cards and Greyjoy cards in it, just doing nonsense. So there are definite positives to it. There's also negatives in that, as you can imagine, 75 cards reduces the chance of finding the one card that you might need at any given moment. But I still think that it could lead to some pretty interesting and potentially powerful things. So I wouldn't just take it at face value saying 75 is too much.
So here's the thing. This faction, or previous to this agenda, theoretically there was, 56 possible banner combos? Is that right? 8 factions times 7 other factions, you get 56. This makes it so that there's 336 possible banner combos. I have 2 issues with this. Issue number 1, someone is going to break this card. I mean, it's going to generate like maybe 10 million awful decks.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to generate decks where people play them and they're going to be like, man, I got 2 power.
Yep.
And then they're just going to take it apart and they're going to be pissed off. But then there's going to be like maybe 5 decks over the course of the game. 2, 3, 4, 5 decks that just find that sweet spot. They hit that synergy from the 3 factions that just pops off and it's just amazing. The first thing I think of right now is Tyrell. There's already the Tyrell Banner of the Watch deck that it runs the Arbor and it runs Pleasure Barge. And then the rest are Night's Watch cards. Ocean Road makes that really good. So Tyrell seems like the ideal card for this as your main faction. And then just throw in, I don't know, Night's Watch and Baratheon. You get the dominance, you get the wall, you get the economy, you get everything in one big ball of a deck. Yeah, the 75 cards is going to suck, but you get the draw from the Pleasure Barge and you get the gold from the Arbor. You're not going to have trouble getting through your deck. And Support of the People lets you search your deck. There are other things like that. You get Marjorie to just go and get lords and blah, 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 blah. It's just going to... They're never going to be able to play test correctly with this card in the game.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be little shitty things that slip through that they didn't see coming, because how could they possibly? You can't test 336 decks. So something's going to slip through, something's going to be broken, and it's going to piss people off, and they're going to ask for a restriction. I like that it increases deck building options. I don't like that it's going to create toxic combos. It's just going to. It has. I don't know what they are, but it's going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Dan?
I agree 100%. That was my first comment, right? This card scares me. And that was my first thing I was going to say. Right off the bat, off the get-go, this is not a neutral agenda. This is an agenda to Tyrell. That's what people are going to start building at first. And then they may go off. And you're right, this combo maybe doesn't exist with the card pool that we have right now, but testing of future cards and playtesting and design, this card... it's so hard to actually balance out things and stuff like that, so it's going to happen. But right now, I was talking about it, I've mentioned it throughout our review, tutors, whether it be Marjorie, whether it be Support of the People, the Tyrell also has an event that can go get stuff, so all of a sudden those 75 cards don't matter that much anymore.
Yeah, Olenna's Cunning and Marjorie.
Mm-hmm.
That cuts out a lot of variance.
And all of a sudden, you've got a deck that's probably even more stable than what most of the other factions are actually trying to play. Oh, you actually killed this card. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll go tutor and I'll go get something else. And, oh, well, I can go get this guy in this faction. It's almost like having... everybody complains or says that this game doesn't have a sideboard. Well, it's almost like this deck finally has a sideboard. Oh, I'm facing Greyjoy this game. Well, I can go in my deck and I can go get this guy, and this is my answer. Oh, I'm facing Baratheon this time. Oh, well, I probably need this deck, this card. And the more tutors going to come out, if there are any, which are effects that I love for this game, this agenda is going to become complicated or dangerous with tutors.
Question.
Yeah, it's gonna make tutors harder to balance.
Sir Hobber Redwin, whatever his name
Yeah.
is he
Yes.
limited to Tyrell character or just any lady?
Good question. That's kind of
So
scary.
I can't remember if those cards were restricted in that sense.
For a lady character.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's all
No,
the
no
tutor,
faction restriction.
lots
Yeah.
of tutors there.
There's
then.
more there.
Okay.
Which is a great effect in itself. Tutor, I love Tutor, any game that's got something similar to that. But combine that with this agenda, it could get dangerous. And that just means that we're going to start seeing, everybody's complaining about Baratheon and Night's Watch everywhere. You're going to see that slowly tournaments is going to be more and more and more Tyrell all of a sudden. And a lot of bad players are going to be playing it, but that just means you're going to be facing 3 Tyrells out of 4 rounds in a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrell Banner the Stag suck to play against. Tyrell Banner the Watch suck to play against. Tyrell Banner the Stag and Watch is going to suck to play against.
Yep.
I don't think it'll be so bad, but we'll see. I think the 75 card thing should help enough.
Well, like I said, it's going to make a ton of shitty decks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's going to be 1 or 2 that's going to break the game.
We will see. I don't
Maybe.
fully agree.
I hope not. But at the very worst, it's going to make playtesters' lives suck.
I think that if this was like the long plan where you're drawing 3 cards in draw phase, then yes, I would agree with you. But the fact that you're still just drawing 2 in a 75 card deck that is a monster to shuffle to, because isn't the rule like if you can't if you can't shuffle your own deck, like there's I can't remember what it was. In 1.0 there was that issue where you had to shuffle.
There was a lot of card games that did the same thing. Like Magic did the same thing, right? There was no limit, and you had to, as long as you can shuffle it, you're okay. But you're only adding 15 cards.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I mean, it's you're playing with statistics, fine, but 15 cards isn't that much more for you to shuffle or to handle. And
Okay. Yeah. The people that are like the people that swear by 60, like they're like, if you go to 61, you deserve to get stabbed in an alley. Those people are gonna hate this agenda, but I like running 61 cards. People call me a heathen for it, but
well,
people will not run 75 cards.
you run 76. Gotta get it, 76.
yeah, there you go.
I'll move on to the next one, barring the
Yes.
gates, which is myself. It's gonna show up weird on screen, so my apologies in advance for that, guys.
gonna
Let
show up
me
weird on
just
screen.
quickly edit that. Here we go. Just kidding.
Oh, because it's a plot.
Yeah, because it's a plot. So there we go. So barring the gates, it's 5 income, 2 initiative, and 1 claim with 5 reserve. Card abilities cannot cause characters to enter play. It's edict and it's also winter. So that's Joe.
I think it's good. I think it's good. It's good gold for a winter. 5 gold is above average for a winter plot. So Kings of Winter decks are gonna like it. It's not got great stats, but I think it's gonna be really good to open against Night's Watch. You know, if a Night's Watch deck is opening here to serve, they're not getting anything out of it. If they run into this card, and there are other cards like that. You know, let's see, just off the top of my head, what is there? There's Heron Hall. That really sucks for them. There's the new Marjorie. What else is there? The wolf plot from Stark.
Yep.
So there's a couple things. Oh, Arion. It stops Arion, right? Yeah. So it's a turn where you don't have to fuck with Arion. So I don't know. I think it's a good card. I don't think it'll see a ton of play, but it'll put that thought into people's minds when they're about to flip here to serve. They're like, oh, I hope they don't do bar in the gates. So it'll at least make you think. It'll make your opponent think a little bit just by the mere existence of the plot.
And so we say card abilities are bolded text.
Card abilities are everything.
Oh,
Ambush.
everything.
That's what I was going to ask. Is does it hit ambush and Dolores Head and stuff like that?
It does. Yeah. Everything that has a card interplay. And there's some people asking the same question on Facebook. They're comparing it to like Catelyn and Winterfell, but those cards say triggered cards abilities.
Triggered, yeah.
Triggered is the bold. That triggered means bold. Card abilities, that's just any card, like any text on a card is a card ability.
So
it's the same thing as like the reason why Dragonglass Dagger stopped Balin's little tricky stuff is because card abilities are just whatever is printed on the card.
Okay, so does that mean... So then when revealed abilities would also get canceled? So if someone played Reinforcements to try to get a character back and you flip that, it would just be like, oh, never mind, sorry. Can't do it.
Another dagger into Reinforcements. It already had so many.
Yeah. And I guess you're shutting down a jumper deck and stuff like that for a turn, right?
For a turn.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting option. It's good that it's there. If ever any of those decks kind of go crazy or your meta has a lot of those, it's a good option.
Yeah.
Right? It's a good plot.
It's good, not overpowered, just a nice card.
Yeah. It would just be so hard to time it. Even if you were playing against the jumper decks, like the people that are jumping into Thraki characters with Blood on My Blood, or when that Lannister Never Bet Against My Family was on and popping and people want to play that all the time, like it's still hard to guess, do they have it in their hand right now? Are they even going to bother to do it this turn? So that alone would make it a difficult plot to insert into your deck, even if it was very popular in your meta for people to be doing that stuff. So you got to consider that as well. It's kind of like playing Varys' Riddle when you really don't want to confiscate your own shit.
Yeah. So I guess you kind of have to time it. I guess you're more timing it as to your game plan, and not your opponent's. You're not looking at, oh, I'm going to play this card, so he can't do this, and then eventually whatever. You're probably going, oh, if he ever jumps this turn or does whatever.
So you're just like, I want my
that's going to break my back.
This.
Play it now, and that way I can actually do my stuff or something like that.
I remember when Forgotten Plans came out, and I was like, finally, an answer to First Snow Winter. Now I'll play this when I can't afford to be First Snow to Winter. And then if it hits First Snow of Winter, cool. If it doesn't, I can continue to fortify against First Snow of Winter, then it won't hit me as hard.
Right.
I took that plot out pretty quick. Just
because I was
because,
gonna say you played it for a month.
Yeah, reactive plots are difficult, man. It's tough to put a plot into your deck that only works when you're anticipating that your opponent's gonna do something. So it's good that it's there. Just like Forgotten Plans, it's good that it's there just in case something ridiculous comes out and something takes over like that and you just need to play it. Same with this. It's good that it's there, but I already am taking out plots that I want to run.
Right.
I don't think I have space for a card that is possibly preventing my opponent from doing something, maybe. So, I don't know. It's good that it's there, but I'm not going to play it.
Fair enough. And on to is it final card? I think so.
The final card.
Final card. Yes. Late Summer Feast.
All right, is that mine?
I believe so.
Late Summer Feast. Kingdom, Summer, traded. 9 gold, 0 initiative, 1 claim. Forced reaction. After you win a challenge, the losing opponent may draw 1 card.
I guess that's me first, right?
Yep.
I'm not too sure how I feel on this card. I mean, when Trading with the Pentoshi came out, everybody was like, oh man, this card's garbage. I'd never play this. You don't want to give the advantage to your opponent, blah, 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 blah. Fine. In the end, it ended up that it was so popular, everybody had it. Mind you, it was a very Lannister-heavy meta. So in the end, you were giving gold to people who already had a lot of it. I guess I need to play with this one more to know and understand how I feel about it. I don't like giving tools to my opponent, especially if they already have less cards, depending on my win condition and the faction I'm playing. I've been toying around with the Lannister guard out of my Lannister decks recently because Lannister doesn't have as much draw as I would like them to have or other factions. And although some people are like, that's a big no-no and you should never do it, it never really pans out to be that bad of a drawback. And my getting the card, especially since you're playing Lannister and you tend to have efficient stuff,
yeah,
always...
but the key is this isn't giving you draw.
No, I know. So, but that's what I'm saying. And I'm trying to, but I'm still triggering something positive and giving draw to the opponent. So this way, I'm still getting the 9 gold out of it, and or a summer trade if I'm looking for it for any reason. I don't know. I'd have to play it. I can't say. I'll go back to my French expression that our friend Frank. Oh no, Joe didn't like was ni chaud ni froid. I'll play with it first, and then we'll see, because I have no fucking clue.
It's definitely hard to gauge.
I think the thing that you gotta realize here is trading with the Pentoshi. People didn't like it because you're giving 3 gold. People are ni chaud ni froid with this one because you could potentially give 3 cards. However, you could take the 9
6
gold
cards.
Marshall. Is it after
It
you
could
win?
be 6.
Oh, on defense too. Shit. Never mind. I was thinking like just attacking. Never mind. Holy smokes. Yeah.
Oh, if it was just attacking, I'd run 3 of these.
Yeah. See,
No, of course,
I was
exactly.
thinking it was just, in my mind, it was just attacking, and I was like, well, I could give him 3 cards. Yeah, whatever. I'll probably only give him like 2 max, or I can just sit back, do 1 challenge, be really conservative. But yeah, on defense as well, you're gonna give up cards.
We're rating the card as a neutral card. See, obviously, you're playing Night's Watch Fealty defense. You're thinking, oh, well, I got 0 initiative. He's obviously going to make me first. I'm going to declare no challenges. Worst case scenario, he's getting 3 cards. Okay, but if I want to rate this card as a neutral card for the game, I don't know. Which faction? Is it going to be bonkers in certain decks, not in others? It's a card that's kind of hard to gauge, so...
Yeah,
but it's potential of up to 6.
That's totally my bad.
Martel and Night's Watch are probably the only factions that will ever run this card. Martel because they can just do the whole Bone Way, lose all their challenges, and gain 3 power shit that they love doing. Night's Watch because, like you said, they don't need to attack, so they're at most giving their opponent 3 cards, and if they do, they didn't lose a single challenge that round, so that's not a bad deal. When I was thinking about whether I'd run this in Night's Watch, I was like, I could run this and maybe give my opponent a bunch of draw, or I can just run trading with Toshi, get 1 more gold, and then give them 3 gold. Would I rather give my opponent 2 cards or 3 gold? And I think I'd rather give them 3 gold, because you have to assume that on average, your opponent will get 2 cards from this. 3 is a little high, 1's a little low. Maybe 2 cards. So is 2 cards more valuable, or is 3 gold more valuable? I think 3 gold is definitely the less valuable option to your opponent. So if I'm running this, I better be running trading too. And if I'm running this and trading, what the fuck is in my deck that I need this much gold? So,
yeah. Especially since there's so many resets right now, and there's a lot of kill in the game. People have been complaining about it. So giving 3 gold to an opponent, that's probably, yes, he could use it on locations, but probably going to put it in characters because it's 3 gold he wasn't expecting. Yeah, I could see trading over this.
Yeah. And then in Night's Watch, you also have to take into account the fact that when you have this out, your opponent's going to do chump challenges. Be like, hey, you can't defend it and lose. Like, if they do a 1 power challenge and the only power icon you have is a ranging party, it's like, oh, now I have to defend it to defend the wall. But if I don't, the wall kneels. If I do, I give you a card draw. And it's just going to create situations where you're not really happy.
What do you mean?
You're not happy.
You have Haunted Force. You don't even care. You're like, yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah. Please do.
Yeah, well, the point is, you see Martel doing little chump challenges and putting their opponents in kind of lose-lose situations, like either defend it and give me a Boneway token, or don't defend it and I win a challenge. Either way, they're going to be happy. So putting a card in your deck where no matter what your opponent does, they're going to be happy, generally is not a good idea.
So the chat says, Descent Saturn. I don't know how live or how close to live we are. Shomar, intrigue-heavy decks. You want to draw that 1 card before intrigue claim. Oh, I'm guessing I'm a little late, right? What if I'm running without his beard?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit late.
Or if Casterly Rock to intrigues. Yeah, they're going intrigue, yeah.
Yeah, if you well, hold on. Yeah, if you win an intrigue challenge and they don't have hand, they draw a card and then lose it. Okay. But even then, the forced reaction says let me see if I'm getting this right. Forced reaction, the losing opponent may draw 1 card. So even if it's a forced reaction, it would give them the option to draw the card, right?
Say yes or no, yeah.
They could say no. They could say, I have no cards on my hand. You have big Circe out. I'll pass on the card draw. You never know. So I guess that depends on the ruling. The fact that the word may is in there definitely makes me think that the losing opponent can choose, even if it's a forced reaction, they can choose whether or not to draw it.
Yeah, it's just you have to.
Yeah.
You can't decline to say no. I'm not going to let you give you the option. They have to.
Yeah.
be
You
granted.
can't stop it, but they can.
Right.
Exactly.
So-
Yes.
If that's the case, then I think that you pass on that. So that's a good thought. And if you can trick your opponent into thinking they have to take the card, good. But if your opponent's good, they'll be like, pass on that card. So
Fair enough. So
Yeah.
that is it. That's all 20 cards of All Men Are Fools. I almost said Tyrion's Chain. So again, thanks to you guys both for jumping on with me, because it would be pretty boring if I did this by myself. It'd be no jokes at all. And I'm sure everyone else appreciates you guys being on too, because I know everyone thinks that Joe's so pretty, and they love your accent, Dan. So,
Isn't he?
so always a pleasure to have you both on. And like I said, I look forward to continue doing this in the future. Is it the next pack?
Honestly.
Is this next pack for the big box, or is it the next deluxe box that we're expecting? I can't even remember.
That it all depends on the timing, you know.
Yeah.
They said early April is like, I've heard that. It's not been an official announcement, but I've heard early April for the Night's Watch
That's
box.
what I was gonna
so
say. Yeah.
It might come out before the next chapter pack, but I'm not sure.
Okay,
We'll have to
so we're
see.
gonna have to figure out a format for that, because if it took us 2 hours to do
I believe
20
I heard-
cards,
My God, we'd have to cut into like 3 videos. Otherwise, one of the commenters will be like, "This was 8 hours long. I can't believe you're making me watch this shit."
Well, we could cut out all the fun and just have a review, right?
just
Oh no,
straight
then we just
streamline.
write articles.
Yeah, I write articles for that Card Game DB review, like on and off.
Yeah.
And one of my least favorite parts of that is that you have to keep it short, because you don't want to inundate the readers.
Mhm.
So you can't write. I'd write an entire page on each card if I could, just because I can. I can just keep going. And in
Did
video,
you
it's,
end up writing 3 articles for SFG for the Nice Watch thing, where they asked only for 1 or something like that, right?
I offered to write 1. They said it was too long. They cut it in 3. So they
Oh,
chose.
there you go.
Wow.
I wanted to make it 1 article.
Jeez,
So
I didn't
I'm
know
not
that.
taking the blame for that one.
I did not know that.
They told me it was too long. So like, you can either cut it down to the point where you're not even saying anything, or we can do 3 articles. I was like, I'll take the extra money.
And that's okay. The article's fine, and I'm eventually going to read it. And this new one for this chapter pack. No, I read yours already, and it's a different medium. And the people that complain that these are too long, well, they can go to these articles if they want to actually. I mean, it's YouTube, right? You can listen to it in 2 or 3 steps, and we're not taking the fun out of it. This is what Thrones is all supposed to be about, right?
The funny thing is, then you'll go to those reviews and people will complain about them being too short. So it's like,
There you
people,
go.
people are never going to be happy.
Yeah, it's
So
true. It's true.
You may as well just do what makes you happy, because nobody else.
Yeah, man.
But anyways, guys, to save those people from saying that we've gone too long, we'll try to cap it at our 2 hours and 7 minutes and 40 something seconds. So again, like I said, thank you. Thank everyone for watching, and those of you that were in the chat during the live stream. So shout out to all of you for making it out, and you can look forward to the next one whenever the hell they decide to drop the box or next chapter pack. So until then, everybody take care, and one final thank you to Joe and Dan, and we will see you when we see you. Peace.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.